Prior to the Great War, as World War I was known before World War II, the European nations were clamoring for power. Each country had an insatiable appetite for colonies, which provided them with natural resources and wealth. Due to each nation's lust for the countries were often at odds with one another over territorial disputes.
As a result of this constant tension, the European powers began to build their armament stockpile at an alarming rate. This was made possible by the Industrial Revolution, which built up each country's manufacturing ability, which allowed the powers to begin an arms race. As a result, the Germans began building their naval power, which scared the British, whose navy was the most powerful at the time and had kept them safe from the threat of invasion so far.
Another reason for the warmongering was unfettered nationalism. After the Napoleonic Wars, European countries felt it was important to raise their strength in comparison to their fellow nations. The German Empire and Italy were especially fervent when it came to nationalism, because they had only recently become independent, and after being controlled for so long by other nations, they wanted to turn the tide and catch up with their peer countries. Oh, and you will notice the man in the pop-out. That is young Adolf Hitler. Yet another reminder of why unfettered nationalism can be a dangerous thing.
As the tensions grew, alliances were formed to try and keep a balance of power. As Germany grew in strength, Great Britain and France formed an alliance to keep them in check. Meanwhile, tensions were growing between Austria-Hungary and Russia over who would control the Balkans. Great Britain and France invited Russia to join their alliance to ensure that Germany would have to fight a two-front war. In response, Germany and Austria-Hungary formed an alliance and later pulled in the Ottoman Empire, who hoped to regain lost land in the Balkan region as well. These alliances caused each country to be wary of each other and placed Europe on the doorstep of war.
The catalyst occurred on June 28, 1914. Archduke Franz Ferdinand was assassinated in Sarajevo by Serbian nationalists who were angry over Austria-Hungarian occupation. As a result, the Austria-Hungarian Empire sent a list of demands to the Serbian government. The Serbs were about to accept when the Russians promised them protection. After Russia promised protection, the Serbian government refused to accept the terms put forth by Austria-Hungary and began to mobilize.
On August 12, 1914, Austria-Hungary invaded Serbia and Russia declared war on Austria-Hungary. Russia then invaded Austria-Hungary, which halted the empire's offensive against the Serbians.
After the declaration of war by Russia on Austria-Hungary, Germany declared war on Russia and her allies. On August 14, 1914, Germany enacted the Schlieffen Plan and invaded Belgium and France. This strategy was aimed at bypassing French forces on their mutual border and quickly taking Paris, effectively knocking France out of the war so the German army could focus on their eastern front with Russia. This plan hinged on a quick victory in France and the slow mobilization of Russian forces. While the Germans had initial success, they soon became bogged down. After steamrolling through Belgium and taking considerable amounts of French territory, the combined British and French forces were able to stop them. Both sides began to dig in, and the result was trench warfare. Neither side was able to break out or gain the advantage, and the war quickly turned into a stalemate.
As a result of trench warfare, the fighting became bloodier and bloodier. The futile charges by the infantry and cavalry elements often met disastrous results, and the implementation of new technologies such as machine gun and barbed wire caused the death toll to rise higher and higher. In the end, 8.5 million people lost their lives and over 21 million were wounded. The cost was so great, and many people claimed this was the war to end all wars, but of course it wasn't.